Hey guys, welcome back to my Salesman Q&A where I do my best to answer your questions about the buying experience, my experience as a salesman, etc. And in today's video, I'm going to do my best to answer all of your questions after my last video because you guys had even more outstanding questions. But I wanted to also start the video with a very common question: what's better, leasing or buying? I briefly dust on it and I hope you guys ask more questions about that because it's such a huge topic. And if you're new to the channel, my name's Kirk and I was a salesman for several years selling luxury Japanese autos. So if you're interested in hearing more about my experience, definitely subscribe because I will continue doing this series in the future. All right, buying or leasing, what's better? Let's get into it.
There's no right or wrong way to buy a new car. You'll have some people that swear by leasing. You have some people that swear by buying a car, whether that's by paying cash or financing. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. So if you want to buy the car, what are the benefits of buying over leasing? Well, you'll eventually run out of payments. You'll have equity. It is an investment. It's not a good investment unless it's like a exotic car that appreciates over time. Buying cars are bad investments. That's why a lot of people will say, hey, just lease the car. The thing's going to depreciate in value. You're always going to be under warranty. A lot of the times, all of your maintenance is going to be paid for during your span of leasing. So there is no right or wrong way to buy a new car. And I guess you guys can ask questions off of that right there. And I can definitely expand upon that. But I'm going to go straight into a lot of your questions that you guys had on my post. So HXRE asks, what is the best time to buy a car, if there is such thing? Well, the stigma in the auto industry is to buy a car at the end of the month. And there is some truth to that. You know, there's a lot of quotas that the automakers have to make every single month to get bonuses. So that is something you got to consider, that they're more willing to make a deal at the end of the month than they are maybe at the beginning of the month. They're a little bit more desperate at that time. Now there's also benefits of purchasing in a certain season. So there are different sales events as well for every single auto manufacturer. So with my experience with Lexus, the biggest one that I can think of is their December to Remember, and that is a 2-month from November to the end of December where they have quotas to make. They have really good incentives on the cars. So those are always something to look out for. Now we're in a weird time with COVID and everything, so your car deals are always going to be pretty damn good right now. Like the incentives right now are better than they really have ever been that I've ever seen in my lifetime. So yeah, if you guys are in the market, definitely consider buying a car right now because the incentives aren't going to be like this forever once things get back to normal. So sometimes, that's his name, sometimes asks, can you save more on new vehicles that have sat on the lot a while? In other words, do I have leverage in a dealership by saying this car's been around here for several months? In my experience with that one, most of the time, if the car's been sitting there, there's a reason why it's been sitting there. It's a certain color combination or equipment combination that no one wants. So yeah, it's gonna be a good deal in that, one, they're more likely to deal on it, but two, more than likely they've already reduced the price on it and they're losing money on that car to begin with. So a lot of the times, if it's already been discounted down, they're probably gonna stay close to that advertised value. But the longer a car sits on a lot, it is true that they want to get rid of it as soon as they possibly can because they're losing money on that car the older it gets. Boating with Cody says, what is the best quality car I've come across? What is the worst quality I've come across? Best quality car I've come across, well, that ranges from manufacturer to manufacturer. So even within Lexus, there's different quality standards. And LX and LC and LS, those are miles ahead of the quality you see even on an ES, and an ES is still phenomenal. An ES is still better quality than just about any other automaker out there. Worst quality is probably, I mean, gosh, Jeeps in my opinion are pretty junky, as I know there's a Jeep in this neighborhood, but Jeeps are pretty junky in my experience. I would not, I don't ever see myself, oh, look at the puppy. Look at the puppy. Do you guys see the puppy in the doorway? See him back there? But yeah, I would never ever buy a Jeep. Another car that I've seen pretty poor quality standards with would be Kias. I saw a Kia Stinger with all sorts of quality issues, and it was a brand new car. It was just 1 year old, and I saw lots of issues in there. In terms of the luxury cars, in my experience, Lexus is the best. So maybe I'm biased, but I have the most experience with them. I saw hundreds, if not thousands, of luxury trades on a Lexus, and how a Lexus holds up over time is second to none. So Fenton Factory says, I'm 2 years into car sales. I have to know, would you do it all over again or choose a different path? I have no regrets, I'll just say that. I really didn't enjoy the car salesman experience. I talked about that in my last video. But the amount of knowledge, experience, and passion it gave me to start this, I don't regret a second of it. Just because I didn't, oh, that is a huge beetle, holy cow. Just because I didn't really enjoy it doesn't mean I regret it in any way. And I'm very grateful for the experience and the knowledge and the passion, like I said, that it instilled in me. So Justin asks, what type of dealer fees are legitimate and what fees are a scam? Is it true that the best, okay. All dealer fees are a scam in my opinion. Now, I'm coming from a business model in my experience where there was no fees at all. There were no fees, and that doggy does not like me. But there are no fees there, and so there's no documentation fee. That's usually the biggest one you're gonna see. That's a big scam in my opinion. I would negotiate no fees at all when you agree upon a deal. Like when you agree upon a number, you say, hey, that includes all the fees, right? Or just say, I refuse to pay those fees. I am not buying a car from you if I'm paying those fees. Like, that is a big scam. It's just a way for them to pad their pockets. I'm not a big fan of it. So Devin asked a little off the wall question, not exactly related to your salesman experience, but he wants to know, when do I think the auto market is going to become reasonable again? Specifically used cars. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, my friend, but I would say it's going to be a year or two, man, because this whole situation, we really don't know when the economy is going to recover. So that's my guess. I mean, that's a huge window, a year or two, right? So did I leave or get fired? I definitely left. I did not want to work there anymore. I wanted to be with my family. I wanted to be with my channel. I wanted to grow the channel. I wanted to spend more time giving you guys a better experience. So I did not get fired. Hamzat Khan says, can you make some decent money working at a dealership part-time? I want to do it as a side hustle. No. You can't make, as a salesperson anyways, you can't make any money doing it part-time. Like, it's a full-time and a half, if not a double full-time job if you want to make the most money. So it is not a job I would recommend for a side hustle, and nor will any dealership hire you part-time as a salesperson. They want you all in. Jacob Lee put me on the spot here. If I could redesign the used car sales system to rectify the trust incentive issues, how would you? I mean, the only way you can rectify the reputation of the car industry at this point is no negotiation. You have upfront pricing for everything. That automatically, I mean, if you never budge your price, that means you're always trustworthy. But yeah, upfront pricing, I think, is the only way you can have 100% reputation, because the whole negotiation process is just lying over and over and over to your customers. So in my opinion, that's the only way the auto industry can regain its, well, did it even have a reputation? It had a bad reputation, still does have a better reputation, but that's the only way for it to save some face. And there's a lot of businesses going. I know Volkswagen's trying, I know Subaru's trying. Lexus obviously has quite a few Lexus Plus dealers with upfront pricing, no fees. That's the best way. I mean, look at Carvana, look at CarMax. That is how you build trust. No bullshit. People hate bullshit. And I don't cuss a lot on this channel, but that's what upfront pricing is. It's no bullshit. Here's our car. It's a nice car. Take it or leave it. Aviator says, do I know a case where somebody was intending to buy a small car but bought the complete opposite in the end? Not really. People know what they want, and they typically don't budge. And going from one end to the next, people are so dependent on the needs of the car or their needs of their family, and their personal needs. So it's not like, oh, someone's coming in to buy an RC and they leave with an LX. Doesn't mean it's not happened. I've never seen it happen. So Arnaldo Ramos says, what can you do if you don't like the car you bought and you just financed it a month after buying it? No, I never recommend putting negative equity into a car loan unless you're going to lease it, because at the end of the lease all that negative equity is gone. But negative equity because you might hate that RX a month after you have that one too. So it's a really tricky situation. Think about it, pray about it. Art Tap 344 asks, what made me get into sales? Good question. I really never was in sales before. I was a personal trainer before I got into the sales end of things. But I needed money. That was really the main driver. New money could be made doing it. And then anytime you're in sales, you have good months and you have bad months. It's a roller coaster industry. It's always stressful. It's always stressful. But yeah, if you're thinking about doing it, make sure you're passionate at least about the brand. Make sure you have time to set aside. If you don't have a family that you need to return home to, if you don't have kids to raise at this point in your life, the salesman industry is a lucrative thing. But I don't recommend it if you have small kids. I can't recommend it. So TMPH, Kirk, please share more of car sales experience at Lexus. Every detail will be interesting. Length of time, number of Lexuses sold, dollars per month, good or bad, types of buyers. Yeah, I mean, it depends so much on the dealership you work at. In my experience, let's say I averaged 8 or 9 cars a month. That's not good. That's not where I wanted to be as a salesman, but you would have months in the wintertime where you're selling like 4 cars, and then you'd have months in the spring or the summer where you're selling like 12 plus. So I would say on average it's probably like 8 or 9. How much money was I making? I was in a unique situation where we didn't make commission off cars. We made money off of volume and product, because I actually sold my own product. So it was a weird situation. I can't really give you a normal salesperson's figures based off what I did. I would say if you're a good salesman, you could easily be making minimum $5,000 a month, but usually the guys making that consistently have been in the business minimum 5 years, I would say, if not more. Yeah, and then you'd have some months where those guys are making 15K, and you have some months where they're not even beating draw, because that's just the nature of the sales business. So how did you identify people who are buying versus looking? I guess that's more of a common sense thing. You would have, but here's the thing, like, you have to do your sales follow-up, you have to do your calls, your emails, your texts following up, especially if they came into the dealership, because you know at that point they have at least a little bit of skin in the game if they're willing to go there, test drive. But you know pretty quick if someone's serious about buying. There are so many people, I did long-term sales follow-up, and like a year or two later they ended up buying a car. So they might not be ready at that point in time, but they eventually will be. So got to keep that in mind. But yeah, there's definitely a handful of people that are there just to waste your time. Complete jerks, complete time suckers. And some of those people even still buy a car, but it's never worth it. It's never worth it. Because those are the same type of people that after they buy the car, they keep coming back to you for every little thing. Oh, this car's not doing this, or I don't know how to do this. Like, that's one of the things of the sales industry, is they know you're their source of information. They know they can reach out to you for help, and that's a good thing, and it can be a bad thing. It's kind of a double-edged sword. So did I get cash offers often? So this is from Andrew. Yeah, especially at a luxury dealership, you get cash offers all the time, but our prices never change whether you buy paid with cash or finance. So yeah, I would say there's some months where the majority of the car sales are, at least for that particular salesman, not for the dealership, but for that salesman, most of their deals were cash deals, and that affects how much money they made. But you also had months where virtually everyone financed, leased, and that's when you got paid a little bit more money. So but yeah, I think that's enough questions for now. That should definitely add to this series. I'm gonna keep it going, maybe once a week, once every couple weeks. The more time I spend away from the car industry, the less relevant my information becomes. But I still think, you know, 2 years of being in it day in and day out is enough to probably keep answering your questions for many weeks, if not months and years to come. So smash the like button like always, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves and peace out.